Alright, hello guys, this is Roxdoom, and I am the current world record holder, as you can see here, for Dead Cells, as well as a moderator for the game. And what I wanted to do today is do basically a generic how to get started with speedrunning Dead Cells. There's a lot to kind of get started on any speedrun really. I know a lot of what holds me back from starting new speedruns is just getting like learning everything and then getting everything set up, including splits, a save file a lot of times, etc. Stuff like that. Just learning the glitches or whatever you have to do throughout the run is really overwhelming. So when you first get started, it can be hard. So this is basically going to be from scratch what you need to do to start speedrunning Dead Cells, essentially. Um, this is going to be a helpful site right here, like speedrun.com. You come here. This is where you get started on your adventure. Everything you need should be here on the forums and in the resources, etc. So first thing I will get to is, let's see here. So under resources, we have full unlocks for version 1.2. This is a save file. If you download this, we'll show that in the folder. So what this would be is you would extract this basically, and I already have it. I believe it would just be like this full unlocks right here. And what you would do is you would copy this and you would take it to, you would go into your C drive. I believe it's programs files 86. You go to Steam, you go to user data, and you're going to have, this is your personal number, I believe. This one is just whatever number Steam assigns you. So this is just a random number for me. And then you go to this file right here. This number right here indicates Dead Cells. It's 588650. And then you go to remote. This is where your save files are. You can see user 1, user 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. I believe there's 7 save slots for Dead Cells. So you start at 0. That's actually the first one. So normally if you had a save file that you were playing on, it would be user_0. What you would do is paste it here, and all you would do is rename it whatever slot you would want it to be. So you would rename full unlocks 1.2 to user_1. So you would fill out your second Dead Cell slot. Or if you wanted it to be the third, you would name it user_2, and so on. Basically, you just subtract a 1 from whatever slot you want it to be and name it that. And that'll set up basically your save file. It has everything that you need item-wise, like all the items are unlocked. So whatever you would like to run, whether it's the meta, whatever the top runners are running, or if it's something personal, you can set it and then go. A couple things on that, which I've noticed, there was a submission that was not done correctly. Let me show you the minimal unlocks. This is important. So no matter what, you need to make sure you have the minimal unlocks available. So let me see, what's the best way for me to do this? It might be just to load my Dead Cells up. So let me do that. And we'll get showing that. You need to have certain things. So we'll just basically cover this. Let me plug my controller in. We'll cover this now. So you would go into custom mode. This is how you would speedrun it. You would pick a default. This is my third one for 5 boss cell speedruns, I believe. Yeah, this would be for my 5 boss cell. This has like all the minimal stuff, so this is good. So let's go into equipment. Equipment, you can set literally whatever you like. The only thing is, and here's how you do it. You would go in here and you would change the quality. So you want to make sure that you can see it's S. S means it's the best you can get. And then you just set whatever you'd like into each slot. So you can see I have a giant killer for this run specifically. I have a assault shield, which is pretty much cookie cutter. You'll always want assault shield. And you have your two R2 and L2 buttons, basically. Whatever abilities you or weapons you are adding there. For the weapons and the mutations, you can see I have some things checked that I don't use. This is the minimal unlock, so you need to make sure you have all of these. You have balance blade as a minimum, twin blades, twin daggers, sorry, and nutcracker. I have giant killer, so I have to add that checked. Whatever you use also has to be checked. Here you can see multi bow, We had throwing knives, electric whip, firebrands, and frost blast. That's all the generic. You need all 5 of those. I don't use any of those. That's just what you need it checked. If you added anything, obviously, again, it has to be turned on. Here you need Cudgel and Green Shield, and since we're using Assault Shield always, we need to have that checked on as well, because we're having it in our build. Here we have Sinew Slicer and Wolf Trap, that's the basic, nothing added there. Here we have Infantry Grenade and Ice Grenade are the base. I'm using Powerful Nade, so that is added here. So you can subtract Powerful Nade if you are not using it. Anything, again, that you're using must be added. And here we have Just Tonic is the base. That is it. Just Tonic. I have Wave of Denial in this build again, so I have to add Wave of Denial. Pretty generic stuff. So basically, the base stuff would look like this. I'm going to disable everything I have, which might be bad for me later. But I'll fix it. So this would be the base stuff. You got these 3, these 5, these 2, these 2, these 2, and Just Tonic. All right, let me add that back real quick. Give me a second. I just want to make sure that I don't mess up my file for when I'm speedrunning this, because I've been practicing my 5 boss cell basically. So this will be good to have. All right, so that fixes everything up. Good. I don't want to have an invalid run. All right, so same thing here. I'm just going to disable what you don't need, and I'll add it back. So this is the basic. These are the basic mutations. These must be checked on at all times. Same for the weapons. Those that I just showed you must be checked. If they're not, that will invalidate the run. So you have Killer Instinct combo, Hunter's Instinct, Blind Faith, Necromancy, Ammo, YOLO, which is not YOLO, and Dead Inside. These are the minimal 8 you need. I added Vengeance, I believe, Emergency Triage, Acceptance, and I think that's it for my speed run, if I remember correctly. I might actually have to look at these later. There might be some other good ones, but that's what I had, I believe, for my speed run for 5 boss cell. Again, those minimal 8 that I just showed you, they have to be checked on always, and anything you use beyond that, obviously, for mutations has to be checked on, otherwise you can't pick them. So whatever mutations you use outside of those 8, you just click on, and then you can select them in the game. So that shows the weapons. Then we get to advanced options. Pretty much everything in here has to be unchecked. There's one exception, basically. 2 exceptions, maybe. So these all have to be unchecked. Right here, if you have the specialist shop here, you can uncheck it. You can uncheck the specialist shop. So all the check boxes, except for I believe 1, must be unchecked. You can see here, everything is unchecked. That's what it should look like. All right, you have to have permanent timer. That is the in-game time we use. We use permanent timer. If you're not using permanent timer, the run is not valid. Starting amount of gold. This is the one checkbox that you can use. You can set it to 25,000. You cannot start with more than 25,000 gold. So if there is a bag at the start and you pick it up and you have more than 25,000 gold, obviously, because you would already start with 25,000, the run would be invalid. You have to restart and not pick up the bag if you opt to use this check mark. If you turn this off, you can just pick up the bag always. It neither really saves time. This just allows you to re-roll consistently every run no matter what. That's what I've been using for any percent. For 5 boss cell, maybe you wouldn't need it really. You would probably have 25,000 pretty much every run anyways because you're pretty rich in these runs. So basically here, if you can't not pick up the bag, if you're not familiar with just not picking up the bag at the start, just turn this off. If you're confident that you will not pick up the bag, or you can train yourself to, which is pretty easy. I did it after 1,000 hours of playing the game. You would just check this on and set it to 25,000, and then that's it. You just leave it there. Don't touch the bag, and you'll be good. So again, everything else in here should be unchecked, and that is the one exception basically right here, the starting amount of gold. That is up to you. You can play with it on. You can have it off. But that is the basic setup for Dead Cells there. Let me show you a couple builds while I have it open. So obviously you could see that I had this for 5 boss cell, a giant killer build. Let me show my any percent builds because this will be more towards any percent. So this is a giant killer build you could do with giant killer and 2 heavy nades and assault shield. You'll always have assault shield essentially. Give me a second here. Sorry about that. Preset 2. This is the one I used for the current world record is magic missiles with 2 heavy turrets and assault shield. And again, for any percent, just to be sure, I just leave all the weapons checked because you won't take any new weapons during the run. You always just keep what you start with due to our new smuggling, I guess, of items. And then again, minimal mutations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are the minimum ones. And then everything else that I'm using in the run, which is pretty much most of what I have checked, to be honest. So yeah, magic missiles. This is a poison-based build, basically. Let me go back to the giant killer. The giant killer build, really, you could just not run the fixes at all. You don't even need a fixes for this. This is a melee build, and it basically just goes on you hitting the boss really hard with the giant killer. Another build you could do is, let me go back and grab my 2. So instead of magic missiles, another very popular build is pyrotechnics, which is more of an oil build. What you would look for is, for turrets, you would want to have spreads oils on enemies. So the turret will, when it hits, it applies oil, and then when you hit oil with pyro, it crits. So it does the 322 crit damage there, instead of the 178, which is kind of low. So it does almost, not quite double damage if you have oil. This build is kind of hard to get poison effectively on, so it's mostly just a oil build. Very unlikely that you'll get a poison on your turret and then poison damage on your pyro. But if you don't have oil, it probably won't even be worth it anyways, which is why I opted for my magic missiles build, really. Magic missiles has 221 base damage, which is pretty much 50 higher than pyro. So if I had poison, I did some testing with like poison and bleed amplifications on pyro, and it just those affixes without the crit really doesn't do a whole lot. You could have both poison and bleed affix on your pyro with poison and bleed constantly on enemies, and it wouldn't do a lot of damage. It's okay, but the main thing with pyro is to have the oil, and then if you had amplification on top of that, that's when the damage really pops. So magic missiles has a higher base damage without critting, has no crit obviously. So if you can get poison, you'll do 441, which is more than the crit of pyro, 322, without amplification again. You do 442, sorry. So you do double damage basically if you can get poison affix on your magic missiles and just do damage with that. This being said, your heavy turrets damage is really close to the magic missiles. So instead you can have your missiles apply poison and have poison damage on both of your turrets. It's pretty much equal. It's very good actually. So just basically this build is very highly based on poison. Pyro is heavy based on oil, and Giant Killer is just I'm going to crit the boss. I don't really care. You just run every run really. The biggest thing with Giant Killer is just making sure you have enough survival scrolls. So you don't want to have everything have just brutality scrolls. It would be kind of pointless. You would lack damage. So that's a couple of the builds, since I was trying to show off the base settings you need. So that's gonna sum that up for now. Let me get back to speedrun.com and show a couple of other things. So on here, this again has a ton of resources. We had the save file we covered. This Pyro seed really isn't used, so you can skip that. We have an auto splitter. So instead of having to split for yourself, you would take this and you would plug this file in. So let me show you. I would recommend you get live splits. So you'd go to live split and you would download this live split, right? And you would download it. And then what you would do is you can just make your own splits. Honestly, I might just add splits. I don't see, that doesn't seem like they have splits on here anymore. So I'm gonna add splits here. So let's name this Dead Cells Splits. Choose a file. I should have my file somewhere here in my downloads. And I'm going to throw this on here for anybody who wants. Let me see here. Let me just make sure this is correct. I think this is it. Let me just I should be able to open it from the file. So I'm going to verify this is it. This will be a new resource up there for anybody that needs it, basically. Well, let's hope that that opens here in a second. Sometimes it takes a while. There we go. So, basically, what I'll show you, this is my splits here. Basically, you'll get something like this. It'll have dead cells, any percent, runs, times, and etc. It's going to compare to mine right now. It's also, I think it's messed up. I don't know what happened here with the layout. Splits. I think it's set to RTA for some reason. Game time. There we go. I don't know why it was set like that. All right, so we have game time. This is the correct, obviously my world record one was 7:19, so that matches. So this will be uploaded, and you want to set it to game time. I actually will probably save that, and what I'll do is I'll probably re-upload this. Choose a file, and do this. I don't know if this will fix it, but yeah, make sure it's game time. We do the runs by game time, not RTA. Author is Rockstoom. Yeah, we'll just do today. Splits for dead cells if you are getting started. And we'll just save that. And see if that kind of shows up right, hopefully. Must be a zip, right. Wait, it is an LSS file. What? It is an LSS file. So it failed to upload. Let me see here. Yeah, it's an LSS file. What? All right, I'll let me see here. Send to press zip file. And we'll do yep, we'll do that. Open this. Okay, so I'm gonna take this zip file instead. Choose file. Do this zip file. Okay. And we'll save that instead. There we go. So there you go. You should get something like this basically. This will have every split you need. So when you get the you would get the auto splitter right here. Download this, and let me just go in here. So I don't need this full unlocks raw file. Oh, just delete that. All right, so you get the auto splitter, and when you save it, you're gonna get this Dead Cells 1.2 ASL. Something to that extent. And you go into edit layout, and you would add, and you would go to, what is it? Control scriptable auto splitter. And what you do is you go into here and you browse for the file, and you would just go to wherever you saved it. Mine is in my downloads, and you would plug in the ASL Dead Cells 1.2. I also have a 5-bot cell. I think this is the one I'm using now, but you would take this file, plug it in, and that would auto split. So whenever you leave an area, you don't have to split. The splitter will do it for you. You don't have to touch your splits at all. Everything goes on its own when it times. It's super useful. Definitely you should have that. So I'm going to delete that auto splitter. I'll just cancel out of here. So there you go. That's where you can get the splits right here. Download the splits. Oops, I don't need that, so I'm going to delete that real quick. You download the splits, put the auto splitter in, you can get the file, and I showed you how to plug that in, and you would, and then you'd be pretty much ready to go. You would go, set up your game, and you would, with whatever items and etc. you want, and you would do a run. That's basically the start here, and what I'll do is I'll kind of show a run and show you how you would do it. I think I'm going to separate it at this point. So, and I do these runs typically over on Twitch. So if you ever wanted to catch me doing a run, possibly, you can check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Rockstoom. But yeah, let me get a run set up here, and I will probably cut over to that then, and we'll go through the run basically. Oh my gosh, guys, I just got a new world record. No, I'm just playing. What I did is I recorded about 30 minutes, 40 minutes of gameplay with a description and a walkthrough of each area. And then I forgot to show how to verify custom mode after the run. So what I did is I went back and I'm going to show that now. I'm also going to give just like a brief like couple recommendations as far as runes or the mutations. I mean, I'm gonna give a couple recommendations on mutations, and then I want to also show shield dashing quick before I get into the run. And I also want to explain the whole four boss cell start thing. So I'm gonna get to that, and then we'll have the 40 minutes of gameplay with explanation and everything. So, let me boot up custom mode real quick. Say, oh my god, guys, we just beat Hand of the King. We're loading into prison quarters, but we got a new world record. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it. We need to verify it. We need to verify our custom mode. So, you're gonna go into the menu, and you quit out. Boom. Um, and what you're gonna do is you show custom mode. You go to play custom mode. Don't mess with the preset, and you're gonna show us your items, basically. So you show us what your build was, what you have checked, mutate. You had to make sure you have all the weapons. Show us mutations. I'd recommend pulling it full screen like this so it's easy to see. Boom, and then you can show advanced options, and these just need to be unchecked. Everything in here should pretty much be unchecked except for I'll show you right here. So in here you can uncheck these, but I think they check themselves again. I think these will turn on. But the main thing is if you have specialist shop, you want to turn it off. It kind of spawns its own like tunnel in prison quarters, and there's no reason for you to have that. So it just makes for another area in prison quarters basically. So you can get rid of that. You want to run on permanent timer. That's the only runs that are accepted is permanent timer. If you don't have permanent timer on, it's invalid, so you can't submit it really. Starting amount of gold is 25,000. If you want to use this option, this is the only one you can have checked. You can set it to 25,000. If you do, you need to make sure you don't pick up the bag at the start. If you're worried that you're going to pick up the bag, just turn this off and you won't have 25,000 gold all the time, but you'll save up and have 25,000 gold, a decent amount of the time. If you re-roll, then you might be a little poor for a couple runs, but yeah, if you turn this on, you can set it to 25,000. That's all you can start with, and you can not pick up the bag. If you pick up the bag, just reset the run because it you won't be able to count it. Like there's no exceptions. If you have more than 25,000 gold at the start, like it's unfair. You got to reset. So don't use that gold if you think you're gonna pick up the bag, basically, and you're worried about it. Permanent timer, like I said, you have to have that, and everything else unchecked. So weapons, we need to make sure you have the minimal ones, minimal mutations, and then unchecked everything with permanent timer. Let me show again, this is what I was showing earlier. Oh, sorry. I was showing my 5 boss cell. This is kind of more what the minimal unlocks looks like, which I already explained, but yeah. So if you wanted to not check everything, you'd have something similar to this weapon setup, and then obviously same style for mutations. Let me go back to my build, and we're going to launch a game. Oh yeah, I wanted to touch on mutations. So actually, let me quit out and talk about the mutations real quick. So for the mutations, obviously, like I said, minimum 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I have velocity, masochist, and support added. If you're running like a ranged build with turrets, you're probably going velocity and support, and the third is like a toss up, whatever you want really. Hunter's Instinct or Masochist is pretty decent, so try those. If you're doing a melee build, velocity is really good, and maybe vengeance. Vengeance makes you take 60% reduced damage for 3 seconds after you get hit, so it's pretty nice for face tanking. But beside that, even that you don't need to run. You would just choose whatever you like in here. You can pretty much throw anything you like, so don't really worry about what you're choosing. Just choose what seems to help you. Triage is pretty good right here. And like I said, Vengeance for melee builds. So that's pretty much all I would recommend off the top of my head. But if you want to do something like Tranquility, just turn it on and select it during the run, and that's up to you. All right, so now we can launch it. We're going to explain, let me start with the 5 boss cell, the 4 boss cell setup at the beginning, and then I'll elaborate. All right, so I loaded it on 5 boss cell. Let me set it to 4. You can see my items are IV rated. They're 4. They're rank 4. That's what we're looking for. The reason why we reset on 4 boss cell and then remove the cells is we have 4 boss cell items. So the reason that you don't want to be on 5 boss cell though, because they give you the same. They give you IV or 4. So right here you can see we're getting 4 boss cell weapons, and if I remove these, boom, and you still have the 4 boss cell weapons. So then you would run right after that. So that's the explanation on that. Just put it on 4 because 4 and 5 are the same. I will probably say that like right as I start up the run anyways. So that's good. And I wanted to show shield dashing. So shield dashing is this. You could walk. It's slow. Rolling. It's also pretty slow. And you can shield dash. Oh, I messed that one up. Shield dashing. So the way you shield dash is you push your shield button and then input a roll, like literally the frame after or like immediately after. They're just basically being pressed at the same time, leading with shield. Never lead with roll. If you lead with roll, you get some messed up something like that. So you want to do shield roll, pretty much at the same time. And one thing I want to show that helps with that is if you go into gameplay, you can turn roll ready on. So if you put roll ready on, it'll show your rolls ready with a white flash there on your character. So it'll kind of help you when you're shield dashing. You can see when it's ready to do again. So if you're just getting started, it'll help. It becomes muscle memory pretty quick, so because you do it the whole run, so you'll get used to it. So I just wanted to kind of cover these things because I feel like I did maybe a poor job explaining them, the footage that I had. So this is kind of like me explaining things, reiterating them, or just covering them basically, and so on, further in depth. So again, the main thing I wanted to cover here though is custom mode. Like I said, I forgot after doing the 40 minutes of like how to do the run, I didn't show the custom mode after. So if you just did a run and you're gonna submit it, you got a 9-minute run or whatever, you got an 8-minute run, you got world record. You just recorded it, you showed the restart at the beginning, which you always have to show the restart, like you show restart, boom, so we see you, restart, boom, you did the run, you come back to prison quarters after doing the run, you quit out, show your custom mode, you don't mess with the presets, show us your items, you see we have minimal weapons, obviously, right here. And then we have mutations, minimal mutations. I would recommend pulling it up like that. And whatever else you had there for mutations. And then unchecked, permanent timer, starting gold, unchecked, done. You're verified. And that's all you got to do. So now I'm going to give like a full run and an explanation on how to do certain areas or recommendations for certain areas, so on. And that's going to be next. And it should give you pretty much a good idea of how to do the run. It's about 40 minutes, so I hope you guys enjoyed that, and that should conclude the video then. So thank you for watching. Okay, here we go. We're back in Dead Cells, and this is gonna be me starting up a run. So when you do a run, wow, that's actually a really good setup. What the heck? This was a perfect setup. That's unfortunate. When you do a run, you only need it on 4 boss cell. 4 and 5 boss cell items are the same. So you will get no advantage by putting it to 4. 5, you will only have to move 1 more boss cell, which takes time. So just do 4. And what you would do is you do a restart like this. And you have to show this. When you do the run, when you clip the run, when you record the run, you have to show you clicking restart before you do the run. You would skip the bag if you started with 25,000, and you would go here, you would remove the boss cells like this, and then you would run after you removed them. So I'm going to show you. Basically, when you start recording or when you start clipping, you would be like, okay, this is the next run is my run actually. restart. You have to show this. You show yourself clicking restart from a seed, and then you get a different seed basically. Basically shows you're not seeding runs or whatever. And then you would go. You would go over here, remove the cells, not pick up the bag if you started with 25,000. If you did not, you would pick up the bag and you go. This is prison quarters, obviously the first area. And the area you'll end up seeing the most, really. So you're going to get pretty used to seeing this area. A lot of runs, as you get better, will just get reset here. You know, if you have a really long prison quarters, that might slow down your chances of even having a good run, basically. So that's the last thing you want, is to have like a 1 minute, 20-second prison quarters for some reason. As you can see, I'm kind of going through all right. I don't know if I'm on the right path yet. I think that's a dead end right there. That might be a dead end as well. So I think I'm just gonna go forward again. And this is the exit. So one thing I want to note before I head on, if I went the other way, the first split here, let me zoom in. Yeah, if I went this path, I probably would have ended up resetting. I noticed that seemed like it was going to be an item, which it was. This was a vendor. If you see vendor, or if you go through vendor, you know you're on the right path. That's good. The only problem is sometimes the vendor leads to a dead end, like this. Basically here, you would try to recognize if you are going through it or not. I, from experience, just kind of thought that was going to be a dead end, and it was. And as you can see, I was on the right path to the exit. I happened to find there's 2 scrolls here. I found both of them, which is really good. And exit. This would have been a pretty good split. Not bad. On the promenade. I'll try and explain these pretty well along the way. One thing I should have mentioned is the assault shield mechanic. The way you do it is you input the assault shield dash. So you would use your assault shield with triangle in my case, and then you roll immediately after, basically like a frame after, or you input it basically at the same time, just leading with whatever your shield is, right? And you get this longer shield dash. This is pretty important here. As you go through promenade, what's important is just going front to back. That's it. You know the exit's at the end. There is no exceptions ever here. So your goal is to just run to the end. What you want to do along the way is get velocity up as fast as possible, which I've failed to do so far, but I haven't really been focused on that. There we go. As you can see, I finally procced velocity, which is the 2 arrows above my head. And now your goal is to just make sure you refresh it along the way. It shouldn't slow you down a whole lot. You just want to keep moving forward. If you find scrolls, that's great, but it's very easy to not find scrolls here. And I'm at the end. As you can see, front to back, that's it. Nothing special. Honestly, your goal would be to not waste any time, really. That's what the main thing in every one of these splits is, basically do not waste time as you go along. You can see I left. I don't actually know if I'll keep this velocity, but if you kill an enemy right before you leave, your velocity should stay up long enough for you to, if there's an enemy close to the start of ramparts, you would keep it, which is very good. It saves you time, and you want that. Looks like mine is still up, so I'll be able to kill an enemy, and that refreshed it, and I never lost it. All right, so in ramparts, there's a hint. If you see the hint, you know it's in a tunnel, and you know it's after the hint. Right now, I'm going to try and point it out if I see it, but I don't know if this will actually have the hint or not. So that'll be our first problem. Again, you're picking up scrolls along the way, but you're not going to be going into tunnels or anything throughout to check. So you can see I found a couple scrolls here, which is really good. Right here, I'll just show you what I normally do. This is actually a really nice setup. You can just go like that, and it saves you a good amount of time, I'd say. And you just keep going along. I was looking for a hint. I did not find it. So what I will do instead is, let me see if I can find it in the Discord. I know it's in there, and I will show you what the hint looks like, and I'll use that as an example real quick. So let me move my display capture up. So here's the Discord, and what we would do is, I believe it's pinned here. This right here, this structure, It's a little pillar with a wooden platform on both sides. It looks like a T basically. One side's a little bit longer. If you see this platform, you know the exit is now in a tunnel, and you know it is past this. So once you pass this, then you can start looking in tunnels. Essentially, what this means is I would just normally check the first tunnel and go forward, and hopefully you find it in the first tunnel. If you do not, you hope it's a short one so you can get to the second one faster. But basically, normally if you don't find the exit in a tunnel soon, you would end up resetting when you get faster runs. But yeah, if you see this, go check the tunnels. If you do not see this, you'll end up getting to the end, and you will find the exit there. The exit will be at the end if you do not see this structure. So basically, if you don't see it, just keep going forward, and you will find the exit at the end. That is that. Okay, so we can continue here. Beautiful. And I'm going to turn off my display capture real quick while or move it back down behind the game. There we go. All right, so we made it to the first boss, Concierge. That's bad menuing. I would go down like this. In this build, I'm using Velocity. I'll just explain these real quick. I'm using Velocity. You always pick this first, every build, no matter what. I have Hunter's Instinct, which allows me to have my turrets up more often. Basically, keep up Velocity a little bit smoother. Also, if you waste your turrets, you get them back a little bit faster, possibly. Support here is for the extra damage if you stand on top of your turrets, etc. And an important thing is, if you stand on top of your heavy turrets, you do more damage. So you want to stay on top of your turrets for the most part when you can. It is helpful. So I don't think I have poison in this build. Yeah, I don't think I have proper poison or fixes in this build. But basically, your fight would look something like this. You're just going to be hitting the boss. You might refresh your turrets like that and come over here on the closed side to the exit. That way you're close to the exit when you're done. Nice, easy, simple fight. Basically, just stay away from them in this category for any percent. It's not a lot to it. You can, if you like, you can grab this amulet in between. This one wouldn't really have done much for me, but you can grab that amulet if you would like. It's the first amulet in the run you would grab from a door. It costs you about 5 seconds, so if you don't get anything good, it's kind of a waste. If you get like a double tactics amulet, it would be insanely good. It would probably save you time on the bosses, and it would take up your amulet slot, and that's all you would need. You wouldn't have to worry about any elites, etc. If you don't pick it up, fighting elites can be really nice. So if you notice an elite throughout still or towers or even in castle, if you could kill it real quick to get the amulet, if it has one, that would be great. So let me show something here real quick. I did this kind of poorly so far. Let me pause and catch up. We're in still. Obviously, the goal here is to get a key, skip through the middle, and then just go straight to the exit, basically, along with finding scrolls as much as possible, but you don't want to go out of your way. So here, let me just clear out these enemies. Here, typically what you would do is you would come up here to the key, and you would just grab it with your homunculus and pull it back, and then you can jump up from underneath the teleporter to teleport through to the door again. You don't have to go all the way up, but you can. It doesn't really save a lot of time. Either one is fine, and then you would just go through the exit in the middle right here. If you have Masochist, you can get hit by those and gain movement speed, but it's not a big deal. All right, so here, one thing to note is whenever you get to, there's one area, so that's like the main building over here. This is one main building, and you can see I missed a scroll. I couldn't really get it. And then you get this, you get one of these in the run. It's like a pre-area. I don't know. It's an area that's kind of got like buildings to a large building formation to it, not these little ones like the boss cell doors there right after the exit. It's got like building formation to it. There's always a scroll on here. You can see I'm on top of it. And then there's going to be a big building here. That's going to be the second area, and then we'll find the exit. So you would whenever you find this formation, you should know there's a scroll there. And I put it in the wrong stat, and I might have been doing that. That's 5 boss cell habit. You can see that star there, so I grabbed that. And you would just run through because you already have a key, and you can see I found the exit. So what your goal would be, and you see I missed a scroll there. I could have grabbed that. I should have actually known that was there, but I'm not really focusing. So You want to find the fastest way from point A to point B. You want to get here as fast as possible. No movement. Grab whatever scrolls are in your path and whatever scrolls you find visible. This one right here, it's very common to have a scroll up there, so I could have easily probably guessed that it was there and caught it. I didn't. Like I said, I wasn't really paying attention. So let me see here. Where was the key? It was pretty ideal that I got this key over here because I don't know where the key was over here. So that just was luck. But you would prefer to find the key along the bottom floor, or like really close to the bottom floor. This one kind of required a little bit of work, which would have slowed this down. But you basically would go along the bottom here, hope for a scroll like in here or up here, and find the key along your way up and then head through. If you don't find key easily, just go through and find key over here, and you can spend time looking over here if you're worried. But yeah, or just run through, and if you don't find key, reset. That's fine. But yeah, you see this structure, the big building that's not the main one. Grab a scroll around here and try to get these scrolls along the way if they're not like up here. Try and get these scrolls, if you can get there without wasting time. But honestly, after you grab this key and made your way through here and grab this scroll, I would have probably just ran along the bottom, and if you didn't know this was here, or if you didn't think it was there, just go straight to the door and up and out. That'll keep your split short and save you time. Alright, I did mess up and I put one in survival, which is super unfortunate here. But we're just going to keep moving along. I'm going to be 1 damage shorter than I should have had, which sucks. Okay, so in towers, again, you can look for an amulet here if you didn't... Not really look for one, but if you didn't get an amulet and you happen upon elite and you can kill it easy, you would kill it. Here I got a nice a weird elevator set up there. And again, right now with my setup, I can keep turrets up a little bit better. One thing I'd like to note here, if you notice right here, if you come like to here, if you break this door, you only have to come like here, and the teleporter will activate. I'll show it at the next one. You don't have to go to the teleporter completely. That's one major way to save time in towers. Is only it. Don't even hell. You could just not even go to that. You could just YOLO your way up the tower. But yeah, you only have to come like that, and you can see I activated the teleporter. And then you can just choose a tower, whichever one you want, really. And again, you can see I can reduce my cooldown of my turrets by killing enemies. So I dropped those turrets 10-second cooldown, and they're already down to 4. Or they were at 6, I feel like. But yeah, they're down to 4 instantly, basically. Which means I could basically spam them. I could put them down again, and that would help me keep up and kill enemies along the way. Whenever I get up here, the turrets will obviously be available. And this doesn't matter a whole lot, but if you get them both on cooldown poorly and only kill an enemy, you'll have them back up sooner to put them back down so you can get your velocity up, which is really nice. So towers, there's really not much indication where key is. This is one of the major random points in the game. Pretty much here, you're just hoping you find key, and if you don't, you're either soaking the time loss, which I would have done here, or you're going to reset. This is a really heavy reset spot. It sucks, but there's not much you can do. The exit tower is going to be that tower right there, the one I just went through. And this is an important room. This room right here, this rectangular room with this large pillar in it, with no door, large pillar right here. You can see it's kind of like 2 blocks. I would say, instead of like a little stub. This means this is not exit tower. You can see that the last tower I went to was a teleporter tower, and what I'll do is I'll show you. This other one is likely also, it should be a teleporter tower, so there's a door. You see? Door here, and door here. The first one I went to. There's 2 doors, normally. And key can be behind them. There's nothing really wrong with that. And key can also be in this one. But you know that the exit is not behind a teleporter door. So those 2 on the left, those 2 are not exit. They would never spawn there ever. There would never be an exit behind those doors. this just tells me exit is not here. So that means exit is middle right. You can see the one with the scroll there, the Minotaur scroll, that is going to be the exit. And I know that for a fact. Basically, I didn't even have to come over here to know that. The way you would tell it is basically go look at it, and you can see it doesn't have this stub. So I would know that that's a not teleporter door exit, or it would be a not teleporter door tower, and would make it a candidate to be exit. And if it doesn't have this, then I know it's exit. If you do see this, for example, I would know this is not exit, so I would just go back if I was headed to exit, or if I'm looking for key, this becomes a valid area to look for the key. So we're going to climb up here and see if key's here. It's not. So, unfortunately, the key was in the first tower that, by just chance, it was in here, and I didn't get it. And again, you can see right there, I killed 2 enemies there and put my towers that are already off cooldown. So when I got here, I could put them down again, and now it's a 7-second cooldown. I killed that, now it's 3. And then I get up here and I can put them down again, and I can kill another enemy. It basically helps you keep velocity. I can kill that guy and I have him back up again. I put him up here and kill those. Then I have velocity, making sure I have that up, basically. Alright, so we know at the top of here we're going to find key, which we did, and you can grab it with your homunculus like that. Nice and easy. You don't have to jump in there. Grab with the homunculus, and like I said, this middle right is obviously exit. This is a really bad towers. This would have definitely been a reset. 100%. As soon as I go more than just key first try, it's a reset for me. But basically, like I said, if you see, you can see right down here, there was no stub, and you can see there's the stub on the right. That would show you. And you can see that stub is bigger. On the map, you can see this is like a 2-pixel stub versus these are like super small. So that shows you, you can kind of see that this is the 2-pixel one. It kind of looks like the door entrances. But yeah, you can see the lack of, at the bottom of this tower, there's a lack of it. You don't see this little thing down here, and you'll be like, oh, so that's exit tower, until you until you went up it. And you can see right here, this is where I went through the key door. This is me going up to the key door. So, and this one is a small one, so that would not be any indication. Just this. It should be at the bottom of the tower. There is an exception where this room right here, if we put it over here, it could have been like up here. It could have been like right above the tunnel. And you would just have to notice that. So sometimes it's not like right here. It might be like the first thing you walk into when you go up the tower, and then you would just turn around probably if you're not looking for key, if you're looking for the exit. But yeah, so basically just look for this room and you know this is not exit, and then just go to the other tower that doesn't have a door. So like I said, these two have doors. So you can tell where exit is all the time, as long as you don't see this and you're going up a tower that doesn't have a door. And the key can be behind these doors. Obviously, we found it here. So it can be behind a teleporter door, or it could be in this. It could be in these rooms, this tower as well, with the hint. All right. And now we're going to get to Timekeeper. Nothing really changing here. Again, I don't really have a damage build. I don't really have a poison build or whatever, but I have a lot of tactics, so this should look pretty similar to what you would expect. I have like 16 tactics, which is way more than I'd probably find in any percent run most of the time. But the fight is going to look something like this. Nice like 5, 6, 7 second fight. Nothing too crazy. I've had it as low as like 4.5 seconds, but again, that just depends on your fixes, your damage, etc. And that's the fight itself. You take a second going in, and like you take like a second going into the fight. You do the fight, which however long that is, and then 10 seconds leaving, which is, it's nothing like, it's not like huge information, but most of the fight isn't really the long part of that split. Okay. So, for Castle, before I even get started on this, one major thing is, I already know where I'm at in Castle. Let me explain. I posted it on Reddit. It's probably best if you just go into the Discord. It's posted in Routing, I believe. Strategy and Routing channel. It's pinned. I know I'm on the wrong path. There's two paths. So this is a path right here that I'm on, and then this is probably a path over here to the right. And this is probably just a dead end. This probably has some sort of rune, and the runes never lead to the exit. You can do the whole game without having any runes except for Vine Rune. So you know you never have to go past a rune. Basically, what tells me I'm on the wrong path is I found a door without going through a vendor. If you go through a vendor, and let me just go show. Let me just go show real quick. If I go this path, there's going to be a vendor here. Watch, right here. Oh, wait, this is actually the dead end. So I had it backwards. This is the dead end path. There's nothing down there, and it's just a bunch of runes. So I had it slightly mixed up. See? Runes. Spider rune and ram rune. This is the proper path. This would be the... So I went through a vendor. This would mean this is the right path. This path will lead to exit. And what I'll do is I will just go through the path and show you that this is the exit path to prove me right. So... Now, the only wrong thing about this is if you ever go this path, you might not find a door for a while, which was kind of this case. I didn't find a door very fast here, which could kind of make this a longer option. I think there was a... It looks like there was a room to my left. No, that's another rune. That's a spider rune, so that was a waste. So basically, I'm going to come up here to a door, and you can see I found exit. Actually, oh, okay, so that was actually a room. So this is going to be a green. This is going to be a green door over here, and the reason I know that is there's one of each color on each path. I had to go up. There's one of each color on each path. See, green door. So you can see I had red, green, blue. This I figured was a rune, but it was just a branch basically. So the fastest way would have been to do what I did. You would grab red key, go up, and grab blue key, and then exit. But you can see, like I said, this kind of had like an elongated path to find a door. It's kind of a lot to go through. Versus if you just went down, you would be instantly at red, or you could just go here, and this is going to have blue and green. So I think this would have been the optimal path, to just go down, realize you're on the wrong path, and then not go to red door by chance. You would end up going down here and find blue and green, and then go through the door and come out at blue and exit, and hope that you went through blue, basically. But yeah, so you can see if you go through a vendor and you're on a singular path, you know that you're on the right path. If you do not go through a vendor and you end up on a singular path again with doors, you know you're on the wrong path and you need to go through a door and hope you come out near either the exit, or if you go through the first door, say I went through red, right, and I came out here, you would just have to grab another key on the way to the exit. But what can happen is, say we cut this out, right? We could just go through a vendor and then it could branch here. That's the worst castle to get. You don't know which path is correct until you see the vendor at the end. So what would happen is, if you went this path, there's a vendor at the end of this path, and I'll just go show that real quick as well. If I go this path, not this path, sorry, this is the rune path. If I go this path right here, there will be a vendor at the end. Without a doubt, 100%. So there's the green door. So this would have been a really good path. If you went down and then went to the green door right away, somehow, instead of going to red, you would go green. You would probably come back out. Well, actually, no, I probably would have went through, so I don't know if that would have been true. But it would have been roughly the same. You would have just ran up to, I guess, down to, and then up to blue. It probably was better to go to blue, green and then blue. It's just chance. This is the luck to castle a little bit. It's still a pretty lucky split on getting out of it fast, or figuring out where you are, because like I said, it can split after. And like right here, this was bad luck. The way these rooms are set up is they're set up with 2 mazes and an elite room. This was not known by one of the world record holders. Shout out to Rhino. So if you come in a door, you can see this was 1 maze and this is 1 maze. So I know when I exit up here, probably over here, there's going to be the elite room there. And that's how the setup was going to be. Right over here, there was an elite. You see? Nice and easy. So this was a maze and this was a maze. The bad part is, if you were on the right path and say you came through this door and you knew you wanted to go back out this same entrance, You had to run through this and this to get here. This just takes time. So you're wasting time running through all this, and you get to the elite, you kill it, you're going to go over here, probably teleport back down and then out. Alternatively, what could have happened is, say you were on the right path over here instead. You could have came in this door, went past this teleporter, killed the elite, and walked right back out the door very fast compared to going through all these mazes. Unlucky, but yeah. Normally the setup you'll see is you'll find a maze, then the elite, and then another maze, and then you'll get the door again. It's always like 3 setup. So normally you'll get a maze, elite, maze. This one I got a maze, maze, elite, or if you went reverse, like I said from the other side, it would be elite, maze, maze. The best possible setup is to be on the right path, a short right path, like the correct path you want to be on, and then just get a short side like this. Go in, kill the elite, run back out, and then do the same for the next one, hopefully. Do the same for the next door, and then just go straight to the exit after. Alright, so here, as I said, this is going to be a vendor, and it's dead end. There's nothing past it. This is the wrong path, like I said. We know it's the wrong path. So there's 2 paths. This one does not count as a path. This is a dead-end rune area, which you just don't want to hope to not go to, period. But there's 1 path here, red, green, blue, and a dead end. Over here we have red, green, blue, and a exit. So that just happens to be luck how that's set up, because right here you can see we have a branched red door, so you might not end up at this first. And we have a branched green door over here. So it's not really as cookie cutter as I make it sound with the whole red, green, blue, because you could have ended up going green, blue, period. And then over here you could have ended up going red, blue. It just happens that it kind of ordered itself correctly here. I don't think this is 100% if I remember correctly. And let me just pull up the Reddit thread, because I think I noticed this seemed to be kind of similar on the Reddit thread I posted. But I think there was an exception in one of the runs, so I know it's not a consistent. Again, if you haven't checked out the Reddit thread that I put up, it's in the Discord, so I'd recommend this. It looks like, so let me look at this. Blargs had it was blue, green, red, but the red was kind of a branch, and this one had it was kind of like a blue, green, red as well. So this one seemed to match. The only thing is, again, the blue is a branch and the red is a branch. So really you could have just went blue, green. And the exit was by red. So this really wouldn't have been the best setup. It seems like it would have been pretty unlucky and slow. Let's see. I think this one breaks the idea, though. So this one I had 2 paths. This one had green, blue, red. And this one had green. No, it was green, blue, red. Similar. So I don't know if that's a consistent. I don't think it is, but the main thing is, wait, hold up. Let me go back to Blarg's run. This one. Yeah, that one's kind of similar. I wonder if that's consistent. I'm not sure on that. That might be really helpful too. But basically, you can see that each path has one of each color door is the main thing. And if you happen to be on the right path, again, so you can see this one ended with a dead-end vendor, and then this one ended with the exit. The red door was actually past the vendor, so you would have known possibly that you were on the wrong path here. So there you go. That's the Reddit post. I would recommend giving it a read if you want like more in-depth on the castle. But you can go check it out through the Discord, and I would recommend you guys join the Discord because that's where you're going to stay up to date with everything. So definitely join the Discord. All right, so let me see. Turn that off. All right, so I need one more key. Oh, let me just which door was to the exit? It was a blue. Oh, I just did blue. All right. Well, we'll just grab green. All right, so we'll grab green. And we're only going to grab 2 keys. Grabbing more than 2 keys just wastes time. There's no benefit to grabbing more than 2 keys. And again, here you can see I got the double maze set up here. I ended up having a maze into a maze. Again, maze, maze and elite. So that was pretty unlucky again. If you went for some reason went how I did, it would be really bad. So we'll come out this side, and as you should notice, it will obviously bring us to the other path. So if you're on the wrong path and you identify this, you would just go through. If you're on the right path, you would just continue going on the right path, and that would get you out. So, like I said, if you go down here and you get to a door, you identify you're on the wrong path because you didn't pass a vendor, and you would just go through one of these doors and end up over here and hope you're either near exit, or like I said, maybe you went through red, you would go to blue then. If you went through red right away, go to blue and then exit right after. If you go through the vendor and it's one singular path, not a split, not like this where it splits here, and you know you're on the right path, I would just assume if you go through the vendor, you hope you're on the right path, because like I said, if it splits at all, you're not going to know. But this one didn't split, luckily. So I would know I'm on the right path going through this one. You would just continue. You would just grab a key, come back out the doors, and head your way to the exit. Again, you don't grab the third key for that. You just don't worry about it. All right, and I have 16 tactics, which is pretty good. I would say the tactics you're looking for each boss. Concierge, you want to have 10 to 12 probably. 9 is kind of, it's rough. I really wouldn't shoot for less than 10, but 10 to 12 is good. Timekeeper, I would say anywhere from 13 to 15 is like pretty average. If you have 16 or more, then you're really lucky. If you have 16 or more. So 13 to 15 is like a nice spot for Timekeeper. And when you get to the final boss, you probably want about 14 at minimum. Like that's like minimum. But 15, 16, 17, even 18 or 19 would be nice. But that's going to depend heavily on like Amulet and just what scrolls were in your path. 15 or 16 is about what you're shooting for here, I feel like, which is what I have, so I should have adequate damage to kind of tear the Hand of the King up. And you just want to get used to like the attack patterns of the boss. And again, I don't even have affixes for this. Like my affixes are not meant for the boss fight really here. So realistically, I could have easily had more damage, I feel like. I could have easily had a lot more damage, I feel like. And what you do here is you push the elites off the top like this, and obviously there's a lot of fall damage in the game when it comes to enemies. So it's super nice if you have if you just kill the elites with knocking them off for fall damage. They're kind of tanky otherwise, and that was a pretty like alright fight. It wasn't amazing, I don't think. I didn't really focus on dodging. And then you would sink your head in the fountain, and that would be time. You would put your head in the fountain, and that's it, done. I'm gonna try grabbing this symmetrical lance and slapping this, I believe. But yeah, you would put your head in the fountain, and that would be that. I think after I did 5 boss cell, I was supposed to do this and never did it or something. So yeah. So yeah, overall, there's not a lot to discuss beyond that. I think I touched on pretty much everything. Again, you can do other builds. You could do Pyro, you could do Giant Killer, you could probably run Kunai's, the throwing knife, if you wanted, for bleed and bleed affixes, etc. Any of those would be pretty adequate builds. My personal preference right now is the Magic Missiles build, which I just showed off. And again, you saw that was with 16 tactics, which is a pretty like good amount. It's like, I'd say above par. Par is probably 15, 14 is kind of like subpar, and 13 is kind of just like it's not unwinnable, like you would kill the boss, but it's going to be slow. 13 is like oof, 14 is like, okay, it depends. Maybe if you had perfect affixes, 13 would be alright. It's still not optimal. 13 is like definitely like the lowest. 12 is like, yeah, your run is done, probably, unless you're really far ahead. So 13 maybe with perfect affixes is okay. 14 otherwise is kind of like the subpar. 15 is like par. 16 is like above par. 17 and 18 is just like ridiculous. If you have anywhere at 17 plus is just like, wow, you got really lucky with the scrolls and amulet. But again, as I said, probably right before the run, if you guys have questions, definitely check me out, probably on Twitch, or send me a DM on Discord, or I have Twitter if you'd like to check that out. Any of those, Twitter, Discord, Twitch, And I do the runs. I do these runs, and I'm working on 5 boss cell runs even on Twitch. So if you want to go check that out, that'd be great. Super nice. If you could come hang out maybe, and I could try and teach you or show you some quality runs and give you tips if you had or any questions you have, I can answer those. But yeah, that's about it. I think that should set you up for a speed run and also show you the basics of how to do the speed run. Let me see if there's anything I missed. I would say maybe wall climbing, which I can't really show here. You can climb walls, and with certain items, you can extend it. So magic missiles, you can kind of just shoot your magic missile into the wall, and you'll run a little bit further up. You do it kind of during you're running up the wall, and it'll extend it. Same with turrets. You could throw turrets into the wall. You can throw nades into the wall. You can throw kunais into the wall. Some items it doesn't work for. Melee weapons kind of lack that ability for the most part. Unless they have like an arrow affix or something. Sometimes it works a little bit, but each weapon kind of differs in how effective it is at wall climbing. So you just want to find one that's pretty good. Missiles is okay. It's not the best, but it's like it's up there. It's on the positive side of the spectrum. Giant Killer is like the worst. So if you run Giant Killer, like you're gonna have struggles climbing walls. You probably waste your nades, and then you'll have struggles keeping up velocity. Kunai is probably the best, but the damage is kind of, it's like all right. It's not amazing. I think the damage would hurt you a little bit. Pyro is kind of like subpar. So it's kind of like Giant Killer is the worst, Pyro is like bad, Missiles is good, and Kunai is like amazing, basically. And without trying it out, you probably won't understand. You probably won't have the feel that I do for the items. Mutations, you always take velocity first. I think I said that. Beyond that, the other two are kind of just gimmies, whatever you want. Support is pretty cookie cutter for turrets. If you run turrets, probably take support. And if you want to avoid dying to spikes, Masochist is okay. Hunter's Instinct again for cooldown is all right. But yeah, those don't really matter a lot as long as you have velocity and keep it up. That'll be your main goal. I talked about both the hints in ramparts and towers, so that's good. You guys should follow that. And yeah, just basically if you get affixes on certain builds, like I said, Pyro's oil, magic missiles is poison, and Giant Killer you don't really need anything. If you ran kunais, they apply bleed, so you just get turrets that have bleed on them. You just make sure both your turrets had bleed, and that would be the run basically. And yeah, that's about all I have, I believe. If I missed anything, hopefully I can answer it, I guess, like I said, either on stream, Discord, or Twitter. So just check out those resources, and I hope to see you on the boards. Thanks, guys, and enjoy your dead cells. Peace.